Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's now the year 2020. When was the last episode? 2019? Shit. Sorry. Hi. Welcome to Saka Otoshi, one of the things I totally forgot about that existed. I'm sorry for my long-term absence and having no time at all because of work and stuff. I don't promise I'm back. I just say I need to make this episode right now. I'm not in a schedule, something like that. I just need to talk about that. You've probably read the title and you probably thinking to yourself, what is she talking about? So let's take a step back. A lot has changed in the last month, years even so. We have the growing AEW NXT battle. We had an amazing G1. People from New Japan and WWE are changing over to AEW. We have the biggest pandemic in a long time, which makes the ring being in an empty area besides by AEW. New Japan Pro Wrestling has no shows at all. And yeah, it's a perfect time to sit in your chair, on your couch or wherever, and just say to yourself, yes, I can't really watch wrestling. I mean, you can if you watch American wrestling, but just assume you were a New Japan Pro Wrestling only fan, and even a WXW, which fan, they are also cancelling shows and stuff. Just assume you are a fan and you can watch wrestling. You can everywhere, new networks and stuff like that. Just let us pretend for 1 second. And what is the best alternative for, watching wrestling but not wrestling? Yeah, it's watching a wrestling movie. Wait, movie or movies? You know, because there are now two big masterpieces out there, and I'm laughing a bit because masterpiece, well, it depends if you like the style, you know. So let's talk a bit about the movies. The one is My Dad's a Heel Wrestler and The Wrestler. Let's start a bit with the things I have to say first. I'm doing this because now today is the 4th of April 2020, and New Japan Pro Wrestling is having a kind of promotional thing. If you are a member of the network, the New Japan Global World.com network, you call it the WWE equivalent, you can see the movie if you are in America, in Britain, in Australia, in Canada, in Germany, or of course in Japan. The monthly thing costs 999 yen, which is around 8 to 10 euros, depending on what day the courses looked up and what day, time, month. It really depends. The highest I had ever to pay was 11 euros. And you can watch the movie with English subs from the 4th of April, until the 3rd of October 2020. So if you're trying to watch it in a good way, because I tried to get the DVD and couldn't find any place that would sell with a sub. A dub, I don't care, I just need a sub. So yeah, let's see. Also, one last thing. This is the first time in my entire life that I ever cheered for Tanahashi. So yeah. Let's start with The Wrestler. The Wrestler is something I watched the time it came out, 2008, on Prime TV. I don't know why, but they kind of had it around the same time, like the release in the cinema. I can't really remember, but I watched it somewhere 2009, 2008. I remember it being around also the time I kind of lost the high peak interest in WWE, but we're still a big fan. It is the point of recession, you would say. The well, it's part of the curve. I'm still interested, but WWE is not giving me anymore what I need. I also remember there were talks on the WWE shows. I think Rogue was somewhere. I mean, Mickey Rogue, the main actor, was there someday, and there was even a backstage talk about a match at WrestleMania and stuff like that. I can't really remember, but that's not the point here. So the movie, or better to say, Mickey Rourke, the actor, won a Golden Globe in 2009, a BAFTA award, and had an Academy Award nomination for playing as Randy Robinson, the main character. You could kind of say this whole movie is about a dramatic reenactment of real life. I mean, I'm not into the business, but you kind of hear things if you follow people and they stop being kayfabe and talk a bit about the Attitude Era and the 90s, maybe even the 80s. It really feels like an accurate reenactment of somebody's life. Yeah. So, yeah, basically it's a drama about an old-aged wrestling star that is facing now the misusage of drugs and his age, like he has hearing aids, his injuries even. But we all know those wrestlers, like, they can't stop. So he can't stop either. He just goes on, and nothing pays really the bills. He has brutal matches, and in one of them, after an explicitly awful one, he has a heart attack backstage or on stage. I can't really remember, to be honest. Result of steroid misusage. Seeing him and all the stars, and like he and they are a bit broken. He wants to get back to his daughter because time flies by, and sometimes you have resentments, and that is not good. It's a kind of a back and forth between them. She's not really like happy, and he wants to connect and reconnect, and kind of it goes back and forth, and kind of they reconnect. It's a bit, I don't want to spoil anything, just if you want to watch it still. Then after realizing his life is a bit down and until like, I mean, he's going to end it soon. You see it in his face, and Mickey Rourke is really using his body. Like, Mickey Rourke's body is misused, is a sign of misused drugs and stuff like that. He has so many scars. He looks really beaten down, and he plays his role so good. He embraces every single thing of it. And sometimes you think, is that Mickey Rourke, or is that like Randy that is speaking at the moment? Well, he wants to quit wrestling because he sees his life is a bit on the end, and a bit is spiraling out of control. And there is one last match. One last match, and the whole situation will just break you if you don't even need to be a wrestling fan. The whole thing is going to break you nonetheless. I would say it's the most true depiction of anything that happens between the 90s and the 2000s, including Attitude Era and everything kind of after the big Benoit problem. The misusage, attacks, the hardcore matches. You feel what Rogue is trying to depict, and that is a good movie. And a good move. Yeah. I mean, I can recommend watching it if you have nothing against crying and even being a bit down afterwards, because the end, I will not spoil the end will break you. If you are a wrestling fan, it will break you. If you're not a wrestling fan, it probably will break you, because you are most likely a family person. If not, it will also break you because you're not a family person. This movie is really good at breaking you, especially Especially if things are a bit explicit on some things. Yeah. Let's change to the other movie. The other movie is My Dad is a Real Wrestler, and that is a emotionally more light-hearted comedy released last year, in 2019, and now officially online and I think on DVD. But like I said, it's not really something you can get. I mean, maybe in America, or maybe you live closely to Japan, in Australia, stuff like that. But Germany is a bit meh. I think sometimes they still don't believe that Germans can be wrestling fans, and getting shows is hard. Yeah. The Japan Pro Wrestling, you will never come to Europe. To Europe now. The non-English, including Europe. That was my mobile phone. Okay. Yeah. My Dad is a Real Wrestler is a comedy movie with a bit of an emotional side. Not the emotional side you had with the wrestler, more on the family, soft-hearted side of emotions. I've seen it in an advertisement during the G1, I think. It's weird, because the whole movie is a bit weird, but let's get to that back later. So the trailer is, like everything else, linked down. It looked really intriguing. I was saying to myself, wow, if that ever gets a dub, I would really love to see that. Watch it and indulge myself into foreigner filmmaking. I have no problems with reading subtitles, to be honest. And the movie itself is around 1 hour 50 minutes. It's short though. Like, you never feel like it's... I say a lot of like today. I'm sorry. It doesn't feel wasted. The time is something you need. But even then, it kind of felt a bit rushed in some places. Like, people change their mind a lot sometimes, which is okay. You can change your thoughts, your mind, whatever you want. But having time skips kind of makes it feel like every single second they change it. It's not bad. I don't say it's bad. So the story, I mean, you can watch the trailer. The story is about a son that doesn't know what his father is doing. And after following one day, he finds out, oh my god, he's a wrestler. And he's a heel. He's the cockroach. Together with Taguchi, the blue bottle. Which is the best thing ever. Because, oh my god, he plays something not like his gimmick. If that is explainable, he's so weird. I mean, it is weird to have him like not himself. I mean, Taguchi is amazing. He can play any role, if you ask me. He's a good comedian. He's a good actor. He does his job really well. And as well, his son finds out that... Excuse me, 1 second. His son finds out that he is the cockroach, the masked cockroach, the bad guy that is playing bad things and is all a bit weird, and it's a basically comic gimmick heel thing. But in the eyes of a young child, and they really tell you his feelings, it's like he is disappointing him, the son, because he thought his father is the most best thing on earth, because everybody thinks your father is the best thing in the world and stuff like that. And there's this disappointment that he's just a bad guy, which you feel, because in this movie there's kayfabe. But let's talk about that later. So He thinks his father is embarrassing, and you get to know the story a bit more about how he was this top ace, a bit like Tanahashi's real story. Then he got injured, went away and said, I will be back as the star, whatever. And came back masked as the cockroach, and nobody saw him again. Like, he was wrestling under his real name, and the cockroach was the not real name. Nobody saw him unmasked. So nobody knew it was him. Yeah, and the whole situation unfolds a bit weird, that in that way that the kid is lying to his friends because they find out his father is a pro wrestler and stuff like that. It's more of a family movie you can watch together. Nothing really dramatically is happening, but it's not something that is far from the reality. You have the injury. The injuries talked a lot about that things will change your career, and the end is kind of like the wrestler. Not in the direct way that it's dark, but the reality is always there, that you can do your best, but if your body is not on top anymore, then don't try to be on top. A bit in that way. I can really recommend it if you have New Japan Pro Wrestling Network payment. How you call that? If you pay them, sign in abonnement. How you say that? I don't know. And if not, just 999 yen is nothing for having to see this movie, and a whole library of old matches, like the G1 from last year, which is the craziest G1 I've ever seen. And I've seen 3 or 4, I can't remember. When I started watching New Japan. Oh, time flies by, I really can't remember. Yeah. So if you can watch it, or if you are in a country that is allowed to watch it, or you have any other way to watch it, don't do it illegally, please. It's too good for that. Watch it. Please, watch it. So, I talked a lot about... not a lot. It's more like, only 18 minutes. Let's dive down into the deep parts. Some things I really liked, or didn't like about the movies. Let's make a bit of a comparison. It's hard to compare movies that are in 2 different genres. A drama can't really be compared on the cinematic way, like how they directed it and stuff like that. It's hard to compare, but let's try it. I think it's important because nowadays you need to understand that wrestling movies need to be out there, because sometimes people forget what it is to be in the ring. You only see the part that is the bump. You don't feel the bump. You just look at it and say, oh, yeah, that looks bad. But you have to get a reality check. What they're doing is not easy peasy. It's sport. It's hardcore sport. It's going to hurt them. There is no talking around it. They are hurt after a match. No match is not going to hurt you. Bumping on the mat is not going to to make your body feel not hurt. And those movies are a good starting point if you try to show someone that doing this job, an entertainment business job, is not going to make you live like 100 years. It's going to shorten your life immensely. And what they're doing is not only their lives could be on the line, because just look at Hiromu Tanahashi's match last year. Oh shit. Oh, fuck. Excuse me for the words. It's a long time. He was hurt in the match between Dragon Lee? Was it Dragon Lee? How is his name now? He changed his name after walking out of the Mexican promotion, coming to New Japan. Ryu? Oh, excuse me, I forgot. Such a long time that I last watched the New Japan match because everything was cancelled after the epidemic broke out in China. So since February, there was no match anymore. We are now in April, and my brain is filled with other stuff. So yeah, he broke his neck. Hiromu broke his neck, and if you break your neck, you can be paralyzed. Downwards from your neck, you could simply start to be a vegetable. Simple like that. Not being able to move, to walk, to whatever you're trying to do, not able to do that. Those people are taking a risk doing that for our entertainment, and for that, I think those two movies are a good way to start to show people that wrestling is not only not, in quotations, fake, but also a hardcore wrestling job is a potential ruin of your life. I don't want to say that some are more, that everybody is going to die sooner or later. We have people like Jake the Snake Roberts, who had the worst alcoholic life ever, or Nash. They both were down on the ground, but Jake right now in AEW is one of the biggest kings in wrestling right now. He's just the manager of Lance Archer. They stole Lance Archer from New Japan. But I'm rambling, sorry. I just want to say that people can die, and we should all be a bit more careful in saying what we are saying. This is an entertainment, but also in sport. So, let's get back to the comparison that only took 5 minutes. Okay. The wrestler is something dark. But something they did not do is taking the real life one-to-one into the movie. Yes, you have someone like Killings that is backstage there. They filmed on R8 shows and stuff like that. I don't know. But there are no names. Like literally no names. My dad, a hero wrestler, has real life names. Goto, for example, or Ishii were there. Like their real personas. But everybody that was acting was not real. I mean, they were the real wrestler. Kushida had a job, but got punched in the face with the airs of Taguchi, so he was out of the job. So, yeah, you have the promotion New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's Lion Wrestling now. The whole logo is a bit changed, but you have the wrestlers. I mean, Taguchi is Blue Bottle, Tanahashi is the Masked Cockroach, Kazuchika Okada is Dragon King. Whew, that was weird to say. Kushida was Scored. I mean, he was punched in the face with the ass of Taguchi. I can't remember. Somebody had said one sentence. I forgot his name. Something with the bear or something. We had a Hardy. We had someone that looked like a Jeff Hardy. That his name was a Hardy. I don't know what wrestler that was. I think it was one of them that got maybe one of the RH people. I can't remember really. But they also had the one young lion that had to leave the program because he was injured that badly. The one with the sharp teeth. We have Tensai was there, but Tensai never got mentioned as Tensai, so I don't know if he was used as Tensai. Yeah, so name changed, but they were still there. So you kind of knew they're kind of talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, but on the other hand, they're kind of not. It was a bit off-putting. I think they did that for the fans that are a bit older, not children, because a child can't really understand the concept of wrestling. Maybe I don't know why they did that. Yeah, like I said, The Wrestler is a drama, and My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is a comedy. The weird part about that is that they both talk about the same topic. An old-aged man being once a star, fallen. One is going to lose, and one is going to win. I think the part that is, the one is a comedy and the other is a drama, really makes you anticipate what's happening. I mean, in the end, the drama, The Wrestler, it's really clear what they're going for, and you know in the end what is going to happen. It's obvious. They're saying it the whole time. You feel it from the start. My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is something different. You hope that he can win back his son. You wish that he gets back as the one star in the arena that he once was. But both are aged men. You can't make an aged man go back to his super strength. A, you adapt and get over, or B, you don't adapt and fall down and will lose. You know from the start you know from the beginning of every single movie which person is going to do which. But even if you know that, both movies are really good watch. Because the parts between the start and the end and the character development is that important. That important bit that is making the difference. You could say, I saw the title, The Wrestler. I saw Mickey Rourke and I knew that he is what he is going to do in the end. I know what is going to happen in the end. You can also say, oh, I saw Tanahashi. I saw the title, I saw the trailer of My Dad is a Hero Wrestler. I know what's going to happen. But it's not that you know what's going to happen, because they tell a story about the business on two different sides. The wrestler side is a side of being once a star and falling down the passage of steroids, drug misusage, being injured all the time, having all those extreme matches, destroying your body for your fans and getting nothing back maybe. But you love the business with your whole heart. My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is a movie about a fallen star because of an injury. He still does his best and to entertain his fans, and they are fans. But on the way, he has to show his son that being a bad guy in wrestling is not a bad thing. So, the way they tell a story is different, but they both tell an important story. In my eyes, The Wrestler shows that they are destroying their body for us, and we have to acknowledge that and give them our full support. But also, misusage of drugs should not be allowed and punished more severely, which is not happening in some companies and should be changed. On the other hand, New Japan Pro Wrestling's I hate New Japan. My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is showing the side of the fan that is not sure what they should do. Should they cheer for heel or face? Is it allowed to do cheer for heel or face? And I think one thing Chris Jericho said sometimes ago in one of his books, the best praise for heel wrestler is to be shouted at. And I think this movie shows the whole way of starting being a fan, getting the whole heel-face situation clear, and in the end realizing what it means to be a fan and what our job as a fan really is. Because being a fan is not only sitting there buying the merch, but we are also the support for those people that are getting on the line. That sounds really cringy a bit and smart marky, but it's something that some fans really forget. It's not a war. It's an entertainment business. If you don't like someone, please still be friendly. They're human. And I think the film is something good for new fans, because the whole situation, am I allowed to do that? The wave, the up and down you have if you start being a fan, mostly in a young age, is explained really clear. As you can really sympathize with being a young child and your father being a heel wrestler, and you don't know, is that good, is that bad? And the movie helps you to realize that it's okay. That is no spoiler, okay? The real spoiler is never going to happen. I'm not spoiling the movie because it's far too good to be spoiled. Now, let's come to a thing I don't really understand, and that is kayfabe. Kayfabe is one of those things that business, the whole business just got rid of so many years ago, and it's still present. For example, in AEW, on a comical way, not on a strict, earnest way. Chris Jericho, some weeks ago, stopped fans from being allowed in the arena because of the pandemic. Shows had to be cancelled, yada yada yada. And they're going with the shtick over and over again to explain, no, people are here not because of a pandemic, because Chris Jericho, the biggest heel of all time, if you say otherwise, I'm sorry. Okay, maybe tied with Suzuki-san. He said, you are not allowed in this arena because I say so. That is kayfabe on a show. Full stop, that is kayfabe. We have WWE that is breaking kayfabe and loving kayfabe all over again. We have the whole promo thing with AJ Styles that is commenting on a tweet Michelle McCool made. I wanted to say Mickey James, don't know why. Michelle McCool said, no, this was the other way around. AJ Styles comment on the tweet that The Undertaker made about a list where Michelle McCool wasn't on, this way around, yeah. And he is right now, oh my god, it's the Wednesday, it's the weekend of WrestleMania, I forgot, holy shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, today or tomorrow, I can't remember when the day is WrestleMania. The pandemic WrestleMania, they pre-recorded WrestleMania. And one of the matches is a boneyard match, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. And the promotion for this match, like literally, the thing they did was talking about the goddamn tweets they were setting up. The Undertaker was AJ Styles was breaking kayfabe, and The Undertaker was bringing kayfabe back in, but also breaking it. So, it's weird. Kayfabe does not exist right now, but it still exists in a kind of way. Not outside the wrestling day, but inside the shows. But also not. It depends on where you look. So, we have those two situations as well in the movies. I really am lost for words sometimes. And this is something I'm lost for words as well. The wrestler has no 0.0, absolutely no kayfabe. Understandably, it's a drama. You talking about real life situations, like drugs, steroids, injuries, being deaf, stuff like that. And then you have My Dad is a Hero Wrestler, and it's kayfabe from start to the end. There's not one single line in the movie that says wrestling is predetermined. There is not one single line in the whole script that says I can't be a face wrestler because I'm paid to be heel and that's my gimmick. It's implicated. It's not implicated that the matches are predetermined. The matches look, and there are some matches that are really, really long and weird. And definitely not on standard with the matches New Japan Pro Wrestling has usually, because of the movie and stuff like that. But it looks like they're trying to tell you that the matches are matches. If you lose because you're bad. If you win because you're good. And that is something that kind of felt off. I know that the way of looking into the whole situation is through the eyes of a kid, and that they don't really understand the whole situation with predetermined and those things are my job. You have these sides of the pro wrestlers that show more of the whole I'm paid to do things like that, and I'm now fired because I didn't do what I was told to do style of way. I find that a bit problematic. It's good to stay true to the whole I'm a child, I watch it through the eyes of a child, so I only have the mind of a child, and I know a bad guy is something bad. But if you're a bit older and know the whole situation, you have to dig a bit deeper to see the parts that are more real, like the being fired part, because not playing the role you were told to play. It's okay in my eyes, but also not okay. It's not bad, but it makes you wonder a bit. What could have been if they had the whole situation explained? I know that they probably don't want to do it because it's kind of magic to a child. And this is a movie, this is a family movie you are going to watch with a child. And if you just break the glass in front of them and say, boy, this is everything predetermined, you have no magic. And I get that you don't want to do that. And I applaud them that they still have the whole non-kayfabe part as a more subliminal message. It's okay. It's something off-putting, but you get used to it. It's nothing that is going to bother you in the end. But it still is kind of going to bother you. Well. Okay. The next thing is the audience. The wrestler is, like I said, something you are not going to watch with your children. I mean, in Germany it's made for 12 and up, but I don't think it's something a 12-year-old would understand. I think at the time of 2008, I would not have said it's something for under 16 or maybe even 18. The movie is dark, but even the dark things are understood. I mean, you can understand what drugs are. You can understand that they're bad. You can understand that you injure the whole situation. But I think for context, you need to understand the life and shows of a wrestler. These shows in the 90s, these shows in the Attitude Eras, these shows even after everything happened with Eddie and Chris Benoit. By the way, there's a Vice documentation out there. If you're able to watch it, do that. It's the most heartbreaking thing on earth, and I can say that wrestling is going to break people a lot, and still is going to break people. It's bone-chilling, and if you didn't like the wrestler, you will not like the double-part documentation on Chris Benoit. But it's the biggest reality check you can ever get, because it's talking about the misusage, the whole heart-wrenching death of both Eddie and Benoit. Benoit is a fucking asshole and should never be cherished for what he's done, but it is not allowed to ignore his existence, because he is the reason that changed the business, if you want it or not, and it's good that it changed the business. But I'm not going to talk about that any longer. If you watch the documentation, you know what I'm talking about. Do it, please. As a wrestling fan, it's better to understand what happened and what is now state of the art. Yeah. So, modern audience for the wrestler. It's hard. I would never say watch it with a child. It's really dark, and the end is understandably going to make you no longer a fan of the business. But it changed. But to know that you need to let people know that there are still old stars out there that need our encouragement to get a job and feel better, and the help they need. And for that, the movie is really good. If you lost interest in old stars like Jake Snake Roberts, so many died last year. Who is still even alive? Mean Gene died. There's Arn Anderson is still alive. They need our help in some way. They had the hardest time. The times with the straight headshots, with the chairs, the drugs, steroids. If you want to be a star, you need to take steroids. That was a fact back then. There was a lawsuit because of that. And stuff like that. We still know some things are not perfect, but it's better than, the last years. And for that, the movie is really good to understand that things happened, that they were wrong, and we can't encourage people to just die for us. So, a reality check, I would say, yes. It's a good movie for a reality check. Then we have the family movie, My Dad is a Hero Wrestler. I already said it, it's good for children and family and fans and older and younger age, because you should have your kayfabe and the subliminal, there's no kayfabe stuff. But it's a soft way of explaining that life goes on, things change, you can be a fan of heel and face. Wrestling is entertainment, but still dangerous. It's really funny from time to time. You can smile all the way through. Yeah. Both movies are really emotional, I would say. The Wrestler has its way of using the dark, emotional way of losing everything, being down on the ground, and then trying to drag yourself up into the sunlight again. While My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is more like uplifting emotional thing. Like, you're sad that the kid is lying, you're sad that they disconnected kind of, and he hates his father, but it's never a thing, that they're going to break up, and he's never going to talk about him or with him ever again. So it's more of an uplifting, emotional way of growth, you could say, an emotional growth. I mean, you have that in The Wrestler as well, but you kind of know that this growth is too late. You feel like it's a withering plant that is not going to outlast the winter. There are some sunlights, some sun rays hitting the plant, and it's trying to grow again, but there is no power left. And there is a movie about a family that is getting back together and friends, and it's a more happy emotional. Also sad, I have to say, one of the actors, this crazy fangirl for The Masked Cockroach, I forgot her name, Michiko, I think. She kind of reminded me of myself, being overly dramatic about the simplest things in wrestling. Like seeing things and wrestlers that others don't see and being overly hyped because of those tiny things, and people are just like, yeah, but the heel, and I think, yes, that is the good point about it. I mean, every single Jericho fan, like, in the last 5 years is feeling that way, I think. Oh god. Yeah. One thing I really liked about My Dad is a Heel Wrestler is the lack of music. It's maybe something about the foreign movies. Like, they do that all the time. I'm not watching that many feature film Japanese movies. Not even animations, to be honest. I mean, in anime is that there's music all the time. But this movie had really few tracks. I have to say that kind of helped them. The emotional, normally if you watch a movie, it's this way. Oh, there's a sad music. You have to feel sad. Oh, okay, I feel sad now. But this movie doesn't tell you how to feel. You can be angry at something that is meant to be funny. You can be happy about something that is meant to be sad. I think that is... I mean, there are some times that kind of dictates with music what you have to feel, but not really. It's really subtle. And the acting is the important part, and I like that. So new music that is going to distance you from the things that are happening. Yeah. And that goes over to the whole color manipulation. In Western movies, is it kind of standard to use colors to manipulate your feelings of a room? And this movie, The Wrestler, is doing that very well. There's the warm inner ring orange tones and the cold bluish when they're outside style. It makes you feel where he feels he's welcomed and home and safe, and then outside the cold world that is dragging you down, giving up on the dreams and crushing your facade of... Yeah, I can't really explain it, but it's something that movies are always trying to do to make you feel. My Dad is a Heel Wrestler does nothing like that. Yes, they have definitely color correction, but not in the way that they try to make you feel a certain way. Even the scene in the hospital, there is nothing that is trying to manipulate to be sad. You are sad because the child actor is crying, because of the dialogue that is happening, because you see Tanashi's defeated face, how he hears his son, and then he decides in his head, yes, it's over. Okay, I accept that. I do that for my son. And that is really honest. Something really good in my eyes. I don't like the color manipulations or even the music manipulations. It's getting old, and people need to learn that they can manipulate through acting. Something I feel some forgot. I watched a series on Netflix the other day that was exactly this way. They had some color correction for the parts in specific countries that show a specific weather. But everything else was open and done through acting, and it was good. It was made really well done, and I think we all should go back to that. This whole cinematic manipulation thing to make everything better, even though it's not really good. It's not something I like. Let's take it that way. So, which movie should you watch? Oscar-nominated Mickey Rourke's The Wrestler. I don't know what nominated My Dad is a Hero Wrestler. I personally recommend watching both, because they show, like I said many times, both sides, the wrestler side and the fan side. If you want to be brave, I would recommend you watching first My Dad is a Hero Wrestler and then The Wrestler. If you do it the other way around, you can get back from the emotional down. But I think My Dad is a Hero Wrestler is kind of taking away the part that he is injured and is possibly ruin his life. Something we should not forget is really happening. If you are not old enough, I mean, if you're 12, you can watch The Wrestler, in Germany at least. But I personally would not recommend this doing so, and if not alone, because talking about the subject is important. Watching a movie and not having the chance to talk about what is happening and what made you feel kind of ways is going to destroy you. Yes, it's going to destroy you. So, my recommendation is really take a fan by your side, someone you really like talking about wrestling about, someone you have close to you in any way possible. Doesn't matter. And then decide in what way you want to watch it. First being sad, and then laugh, or first laugh and then being sad. It doesn't matter. It's like Grave of the Fireflies. There is always a movie that is going to make you cry like a baby, and that is okay, because we have to talk about subjects. And in that way, watching a movie and not talking about it afterwards is going to destroy you. Take a friend, watch the movie, talk about it. Talk about what you felt, talk about what you learned, and then let's support all the heroes out there. The heroes in quotations, because it's a job. And a job that is going to destroy your body, yeah. I mean, I love wrestling, but sometimes it's hard to watch. Yeah. So, I hope that was enlightening. If not, I'm sorry. I'm now going to do something else. Thank you very much for listening, and if you want to talk about it, everything is open down in the comments if I don't forget to check it again like 2 years. Also have Twitter and other streaming every single week. I'm talking about wrestling. I'm always there if you need an ear about specific things, and see you, hear you, listen to you next time. Have a good day, and bye bye.